What's going on, guys? Kenny here again, and today I've got another hype versus reality for you. And what that's going to be about is this guy. That's right, guys. This is the Chris Reeve Knives Umnumzaan. I know you guys have been waiting for this one. I know a lot of guys are waiting to hear what I have to say about this knife. Yeah, and for those of you guys that don't watch my videos, what my hype versus reality videos are all about, it's my comprehensive review. If you're looking for a shortcut review, this definitely is not it. Maybe look at my first impressions and unboxings. Those are shorter reviews usually. But this is going to be a comprehensive review. I'll be talking about the hype, which is created by a lot of different things, whether it be ourselves, we create our own hype, manufacturers, distributors, the makers, but also it's created by our community, by YouTube reviewers, by just word of mouth. So there's a lot of things that create hype in our community, and then I talk about the reality. I'll talk about the hype, then the reality. And first things first in these, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the specs on the page. I don't want to waste your guys' time spewing off a bunch of numbers where you can get it on the internet very easily. So then I'll move right along and I'll do some size comparisons. First things first, I'll do some Benchmades. We've got the Griptilian. This is the full-size Griptilian. And yes, I did acid etch that blade, guys, for those of you guys that noticed that. This is the 940. You guys can see that the Umnumzaan is just a little bit longer, but also much more stout than the 940. Next, I'll bring in some Spydercos. We've got the PM2. This is the 10V River's Edge exclusive with some AWT scales on it. Then I've got the Mannix, and yes, this is the 4V St. Nick's exclusive. Super stoked on getting one of those. And you guys can see that the Umnumzaan is very similar to the size of these two knives. Very similar, just a little bit longer, just slightly longer. But I mean, the PM2, yeah, you're looking at exactly. Actually, I think the PM2 might be slightly longer, just the very tip, but that might just be these two examples. Very, very similar size knife to the PM2. Even in grip size and everything, very, very similar. So if you guys like the PM2 size, you'll really enjoy the Umnumzaan, also known as the Zaan in a lot of cases, respectively. And what's going on, guys? Kenny here again, and today I've got another hype versus reality for you. And what I'll be talking about is this guy. That's right, guys. This is the Chris Reeve Knives Umnumzaan, or also well known as the Zaan, and for short. And then this is actually Umnumzaan is Zulu language, and it means boss in Zulu. So yeah, really cool. Really excited to talk about this. I know a lot of guys have been waiting for my review on this. I haven't had a lot of reviews coming out lately, and I'm sorry about that, guys. Hopefully I'll get back into the swing of things, going through some life changes. But anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about this knife. First things first, I want to say that if you have not watched my reviews, if you don't know about my hype versus reality, this is definitely not the shortcut review. If you watch one of my unboxing and first impressions, those are a little shorter. These are going to be a comprehensive review with footage of me using the knife and all kinds of stuff. So in saying that, the hype, guys, I'm going to talk about the hype of the knife created by by the community, whether it be distributor, manufacturer, the maker, the designer of the knife. It could come from YouTube and Facebook and all these other things too. And then there's also our own hype, what we create, whether we like certain things like a Tanto blade or titanium handles. These are all, hype that we create ourselves. And then there's negative hype as well. Comes from the community a lot of times with YouTube reviewers and stuff like that. And then, of course, the reality, guys. What I thought about the knife once I got it, used it, carried it, and all that. These reviews, I usually have the knife for months or something over a month at least. So with this one, I've had it for months, probably 5-6 months. But getting right into it, I'm going to start with the specs, which I'll put on the page here. I don't want to waste your guys' time spewing off a bunch of numbers when you can easily get that online. And then I'll go ahead and bring you guys back, and we'll do some size comparisons. First things first, I'll bring in some Benchmates. We've got the full-size Griptilian. This, of course, has aftermarket micarta scales, and I just did an acid etch on the blade. I also anodized these standoffs. So you guys can see the full-size grip's a bit shorter, although probably a similar, width. Ooh. And then I'll bring in the 940, which you guys can see is, again, shorter and also slimmer, of course, than the Umnumzaan. Then I'll bring in some Spydercos. We've got the PM2, which is a really, really good size comparison. And, of course, the Mannix. Of course, this is the 10V River's Edge exclusive with AWT scales. And then I've got the St. Nick's exclusive Mannix 2. You guys can see that these are two very good size comparisons for the Umnumzaan. I would say the PM2 really gives you a good comparison as far as even handle width and stuff like that, although the PM2 has a swell. But very, very good size comparison there. And, of course, no finger choil, so you get a little bit more blade out of the Umnumzaan. Moving along, I've got some hinders. I'll start with the XM18 model since that's kind of their flagship. This is the 3.5, of course. And then I've got a Fire Attack. This is the Spear Point Fire Attack. Very, very similar size knives here, guys. Very similar. So if you have either one of these, you know that, just about what you're getting. The Fire Attack, this is like what I would consider almost like the CRK of hinder. It's like a collaboration almost, in my opinion. It's very, very, very similar to the idea, the style of Chris Reeve Knives. So very cool. And then, of course, last but not least, I will bring in some of his brethren. We've got the large Inkosi and the large Sabinza 21. As you guys can see, these are pretty much all the same knife in a sense. Like, you're looking at the same handle size and blade length. These are they're like brothers, you know what I mean? You've got the Inkosi is just like the big dog. It's really thick. Everything about it's super heavy and well built, just like all CRKs really. Whereas the Sabinza is a little more delicate, and when I say that, these are super great heavy-duty knives, but, it's a thinner stock. You got a thinner stock, just a lighter feel overall. Stock thickness of the blade, of course. And, yeah, and I think you might even have, I'm not sure about the handle, the slabs, like the titanium. Those might be the same, but it just feels like an overall, like just a little bit lighter duty knife, although I would say that the 21 is a great all-around everything kind of knife. The Inkosi is just that much beefier. Thicker stock, thicker tip, not as deep of a hollow grind as the Sabinza, but it's still pretty thin behind the edge. Actually thinner than the Sabinza, but not up here. I'll get more into the comparisons of all these three. I'll probably eventually do a comparison video, but I'll get more into that later. But you guys can see these are very, very similar size knives. These two have the same stock thickness. This one's at about 1200ths on the stock thickness on this one. These two are both almost 1400ths. Like, I think it's 13.95. I think it should be 14 hundredths. So yeah, very, very similar size knives, guys. Actually, same size, really. So getting into the Umnumzaan and the height, guys. There was, for me, a good amount of hype surrounding this knife just because both positive and negative. I had heard some negative comments and things from some of my friends when they didn't have it very long. It's definitely not your standard knife. You know, there's some weirdness going on here. You've got a weird lock bar here, you know, that kind of protrudes, sticks out, and then you have kind of a recess there that's going to help you grip the lock bar, which is going to force your fingers into a certain grip. This was part of the negative hype for me, was looking at the handle going, well, is that going to fit? Yeah, but as far as that goes, I'll get more into that when I get into ergonomics. There was mostly positive hype. I heard a lot of good things about the Umnumzaan, and then of course the positive hype surrounding Chris Reeve and their build quality, their tolerances and such. So also there's some negative and positive hype surrounding Tantos. I've never been a huge Tanto fan. I like the way they look. I like the overall, you know, like that chisel kind of effect. But the drop point's just so much more versatile to me. I always thought the drop point was just a better blade in general. But in saying that, you know, that there's a lot of positive and negative hype that surrounds Tantos. And, you know, some of that just being that you have a lot of flat and then no belly, really. So there's not a lot of rocking type of motions you can do with a Tanto. But I'll get more into that as I get into the reality. Again, you've got the tolerances of CRK. You've got the ceramic ball detent and lock interface. So it acts as the detent that holds the blade in. It also acts as your lock interface. I had this on my Incosi already, so I kind of talked about that kind of lock already. Of course, it has the Reeve integral lock, which means essentially just a frame lock. A piece of the frame is cut to create your lock. And yeah, it also has the thumb studs are also your blade stops, opening and closing. So, you know, you've got that hype kind of like creating stability on the blade and stuff like that. So, as far as hype's concerned, there's a lot of hype just in general with CRKs. And with this knife, a little bit more negative than usually I deal with CRK, but still mostly positive. And the reality when I got it, I was really, really excited when I got this guy. I did get it used. This is a 2015 model, which has, you know, the 58 to 59 HRC S35. Of course, this is some of the earlier models of the Umnumzaan. So I was really interested to get it and see how it was. The fit and finish, guys, the bead blast they do on their scales is beautiful. You guys can see it's definitely got some wear, pocket use. It came to me with some wear, and then you guys know I use my knives, and it's going to get more wear. Really just beautifully done as far as the bead blast is concerned. And this pattern that's created, it really does give the knife a cool element of like, as light's hitting one side, it almost looks like there's a different color on the other side. It makes a really cool aesthetic, like almost like phenomenon, but it's not really a phenomenon. It's just, you know, light bouncing essentially, but really, really cool. It does have this over travel stop, which, you know, not necessary, but a nice touch. You can see it's got the Chris Reeve logo on it too, so you got your Chris Reeve logo there, and the blade's nice and clean. Speaking of the blade, you've got a really nice stone wash with almost like a polish on top of the stone wash. You guys can see how deep and nice that hollow grind is. Very well done, very even. Sorry, it's really hard to get this to focus, but very well done, very even. The guy who originally had this did a horrible job doing the Tanto, and he ended up rounding it over, like making it concave, or convex, I mean. And I know the CRK factory bevel is kind of convex, so it might have been the factory, but I think the guy who had it before me kind of messed that up because it looked kind of polished. It looked like he did it, but I cleaned that up a little bit, but I know in subsequent sharpenings I'll clean that up. But overall, the grind is done amazingly. It does have chamfering on the back. It's not rounded like a lot of the other CRK spines, but that's due to this, the kind of cutaway for your thumb. You don't want to have that rounded. It would just look really weird right here. So they just did a nice heavy chamfer. Really well done. You guys can see that everything is chamfered extremely nicely on this. And when you're talking about lockup, this is probably at about, probably like 60 to 75%, because where the ball's actually connecting, you can see it's probably more like, how can I do this? Like right there. Just because this looks further over, your actual detent, the ball is actually probably contacting more over here, and then it pushes over if you squeeze. So it does have a bit of movement, but when you're talking about lockup here, guys, this is so solid. It's not going anywhere. I could spine whack this thing all day. I would be wasting my time and just damaging my knife. Especially once you put your hand on this, there's no way this lock is going to move. When you're talking about tolerances, look how tight those tolerances are. This does have two giant phosphor bronze washers with holes for allowing your, just for less surface area actually touching the blade, and also for the grease and stuff like that to gather in the holes instead of getting bound up. So all that dirt and stuff gets wiped away from your surfaces. But yeah, amazing when it comes to build quality, and that's why I love Chris Reeve so much. On another level, if you're asking me. You can see the simplicity in this design as well, with just one standoff. That's it. This does come with a lanyard tube, which you guys know I'm not really into lanyards, so I took that out. Yeah, just a really well-made knife with beautiful fit and finish, and also amazing build quality. Well, it's just on another level build quality, if you ask me. So really well done. I'm just so impressed by the fit and finish of this knife, and just like I said, the build quality, the tolerances, and the execution of those tolerances in the fit and finish. So amazing, guys. Really well done. And then going into the use, I'm sorry, let me get into the action first. You guys can see right there, this thing fires out with authority. And because of these O-rings that they put for, just, it's going to allow just some cushion, so you're not just having metal on metal contact all the time, as all day long, every day. You have this little bit of cushion. It also makes the knife somewhat silent, which some guys will like, some guys won't. Clicking in, this thing makes very little noise. If you fire it hard, it'll make that noise of the metal cracking, but I mean, that's the only time it's going to make noise, is if you fire hard or close hard. And really nice. I like that it actually is kind of quiet if I want it to be, And as you guys can see, the detent as far as releasing is super snappy. Very crisp detent closing as well. Sucks it in nice. It's just a well-made knife with excellent action. It's not like a free dropping, but if I just lightly swing it, it will swing shut. Not really the style of knife I consider this. When I'm opening and closing it, I usually just do like this, just slow roll it, or I'll swing it in with my index like this. But just really enjoyable action, and that Chris Reeve glassiness as far as those giant phosphor bronze washers. Extremely smooth, and only when you execute tolerances like this are phosphor bronze washers, or Teflon for that matter, excellent choices. When you got shit tolerances, bearings makes everything easy. You can put bearings on anything and just slop it up, and they'll drop free. But when you can really nail phosphor bronze washers and Teflon, that's when you know someone has really good tolerances. So really nice. Enjoy this action a lot. Of course, I didn't talk about it, but you do have that glass breaker on the top, guys. If you ever wanted to break out of your car, if you're in an emergency situation, you could just use that. So nice little touch. Going into the use, guys, and what I thought about this thing in use, I'll go ahead and put some footage of me using it on the page right now. Yeah, guys. Again, this is my first Tanto, so I was kind of, interested in seeing how it went for me. I had Tantos in the past as a kid, but never something that I was like everyday carry, using it every day, and then like really cutting a lot of materials with it and stuff like that. So this was really interesting to me to try out, and I really enjoyed it. I found that the way that this Tanto is done, it has a nice belly to it, even though it's has the flats and then the Tanto edge, but this one actually has some belly to the flats. So instead of having a flat, perfectly straight bottom edge, it has a little bit of a swoop, and it really does. It's really effective in cutting through a lot of material. This hollow grind is done extremely well, and it slices excellently. Even through 3 or 4 cardboard thick, it did really well. Really easy to cut through a lot of materials, and the ergonomics were excellent, guys. Excellent. I didn't find any issues as far as ergonomics on this knife. The Tanto edge works great for scraping and prying if you need to. This has a very thick tip. I'll show you later, but has a nice thick tip for prying. And then that front edge, you can just scrape all day long. As far as the S35 is concerned, I found that it definitely isn't as hard as my Inkosi or my Sabenza, but I found that it still holds an edge excellently, probably a lot better than most M390s and 20 CVs and stuff like that I've ever gotten in production knives. That's why a lot of us always are trying to get it across to people that just because the type of steel doesn't mean that it's been treated well. So just because it says M390 doesn't mean that it's going to perform better than S30 or even 154CM or 14C28N in a lot of cases. So this S35 is done amazingly. Super tight grain structure, it seems. It burrs easily, it deburrs easily. It held the edge very well, and it strops back like a dream. I'm super happy with this S35, even though it's not as hard and doesn't hold an edge quite as long as my other CRKs. This definitely performed though, and I was very happy with it. I wouldn't change it. If I could go back and buy another one, would I? Not necessarily, because I'm pretty happy with the way this has performed for me. So very happy with the performance in general, and it just it was a very comfortable knife to use. A very almost like one of those ones you could just throw in your pocket and know no matter what you have to do that day, it'll be able to accomplish it with ease and with comfort and with joy, as far as like just joy in being appreciative of the quality of the thing you're using, you know. So yeah, in saying that, I will go ahead and bring you guys back, and I'll talk more about the ergonomics of the knife. Yeah, the ergos, really, really, really nice. Your hands just seem to fit right into the space. If you step back here, it's really comfortable. I honestly can just grab it anywhere, and it's comfortable for me. I found that my thumb just sits perfectly in that divot right here. And then if you did want to step back and use the jimping, you could in some kind of self-defense manner. You could definitely step back here. Definitely very comfortable in every grip. So I really enjoyed using this. I mean, even in the pull grip, really comfortable. And one thing I found that I like is the straight back that Chris Reeves use. It's super comfortable when trying to push through a lot of material. I find that sometimes handles that have a lot of hump, you know, you can get like almost like a pressure point right here in the center of the hump, and it does sometimes create a pressure point. But I still think these are very comfortable. I just find that knives with a flat back, if I'm pushing really hard, they seem to be the most comfortable for me. And I really enjoy the ergonomics of Chris Reeve knives because of that. Because most of their knives, well, most of them, at least in this line, are all going to have kind of that flat or slightly arched back. And they are really, really comfortable when it comes to pushing through material. So really enjoy that. And then again, we have this ceramic ball interface, just like, I'll show you that, just like my Nkosi. Very similar lockups and super solid. So really enjoyed the ergonomics and the performance. This hollow grind is a little bit closer to the Sabinza hollow grind. Very thin, pretty far up the blade, so it comes much higher than the Nkosi. Very thin grind. Really nice in the flats here. And then going up into the Tanto, you can see I've got a nice point for stabbing and stuff if I have to stab into some clamshell packaging, but then it gets thick quick. So I can get it up to here and pry as much as I need to. So really nice. And then you've got these the thumb studs that also act as your blade stop, and they make it extremely solid, guys. This thing is rock solid in every way. Extremely happy with the lockup on this thing. There is no flexing, no lock rock, nothing like that. You can see if you press, you can get this lock bar to move, but in a way that is really not going to affect you. This way, it just does not move easily. There's no way this lock's going to disengage without you wanting it to disengage. Super happy with that. So, yeah, performance of this knife was excellent. And I do want to get a drop point. I want to get a drop point Umnumzaan because, for one, I love the blade shape, the way they do the harpoon blade. And I just love the drop point blade shape. I really do. Just kind of classic and just a great shape. So, yeah, in saying that, really enjoyed the performance of this knife, and just the overall use was excellent. Excellent knife. And just such a solid feeling knife in hand, and just really happy with that. As far as in the pocket, this knife carries extremely well. It's not something that I would say, it's not like super light. It's definitely a heavier knife. I'll bring in, oh, actually, sorry. I did not bring in the calipers yet. Let me go ahead and bring in the calipers. Let's look at the behind the edge thickness, because this thing is super slicey. Nice behind the edge thickness for sure. With the hollow grind, it cuts through material really well. Okay, so about 22 at that thickest point at the heel. About 18.5 in the center there. Center of the belly. 18 thousandths. Right at the Tanto, we've got about 21. Then you guys can see it gets pretty thick up here. Yeah, 60 thousandths. Okay, so like up here you can see how much wider that gets. I like that. You really do get some prying ability out of that, and really nice, and it looks good. So I really enjoy that grind. Excellent out here, nice and thin, and it stays thin way up here. So just excellent grind all together. Really, really well done, and you cannot complain about that. Just excellent, excellent. And then I'll go ahead and bring the scale in. We'll go ahead and talk about the weight really quick, which you're looking at about just under 5 ounces, 4.96. So it's not a light knife, but this is a full titanium construction. There's no micarta or anything like that, inlays to lighten it up. This thing is solid. There is no reason to ever worry about this thing. And in the pocket, I found it actually disappears pretty well. The Chris Reeves clip, one of the best clips out there. Excellent going in the pocket, excellent coming out of the pocket. This secondary retention spot here just works amazingly. You can see how much it has there, yet stays tight to the scale. This is probably the best clip out there. This and the Microtech this and the Microtech clip are probably my favorites. They're just excellent and simple, and they work amazing. So very comfortable in the hand as well. This one kind of lands right in between my fingers, and it works awesome. So ergonomically, this feels great. It works great. So very happy with the carry of this knife. It really does carry well for how heavy it is. It really does disappear to me. It doesn't quite like lean back in the pocket because you see the clip is straight, but I don't have any issue with it. I didn't find any issues with it. It really was comfortable to carry, whether it be in my front pocket or in my back pocket like I do a lot of times for my bigger knives. Really, really nice. So really happy with the way this carried. And in conclusion, like if I'm just going over this knife, I really love it. This is definitely one of my favorites in my collection. And I really enjoyed using the Tanto, and the versatility, the utility of that Tanto blade was nice, and it opened me up to getting more Tantos, which I have at this point. Really, really enjoyed that. And again, this belly, how it creates some belly there without being straight across. I love that. And it really does make for like nice when you're trying to slice through something. It really does allow you to get a little bit more surface area and slice through. Really, really nice. Really enjoyed the blade shape. Really enjoyed this S35. Really enjoyed the handle shape and just the comfort in the handle. The look, guys, this is just such a beautiful knife. In person, it's even better. It's just such a great knife. So very happy with the Umnumzaan overall. The build quality is on another level, just like all CRKs, really. Just something to uphold for sure. I really, really love this knife. And to surprise you at the end here, guys, I'm actually going to be trading this knife. That's why I'm kind of putting this video out right now, but I'm going to be trading it. Believe it or not. I'm definitely going to be replacing it one day because I love the Umnumzaan. I'll probably replace it with a drop point first, and then I'll probably try to replace my Tanto. But I just got a really good opportunity to get a knife that I really wanted to try. So I'm going to go ahead and trade it. I know it's going to be a knife that's going to be a little bit redundant. I already have 3 of these knives, but I really wanted to get this example of it, and I got the opportunity, so I just went for it. And I'm definitely going to be replacing my Umnumzaan as soon as I possibly can, because I am going to miss it. Like, I already miss it, and I haven't even gotten rid. I haven't even, sent it off yet. So it feels like a little bit of a mistake, but at the same time, I know that I can get another one. So yeah, excited to try. I have another Hinderer coming, another XM18 actually. But it's just a special one. So you guys will see what I'm talking about. And yeah, just if you guys are thinking about getting an Umnumzaan, really just don't think too hard, because if you start talking yourself out of it, you're just not going to get it, and then you're not going to realize how amazing it really is. If you can get one in hand first, go for it. But I think that most people are going to be extremely happy with this knife. I can't see what people don't like when they don't like it. So, yeah. In saying that, unless you're a flicky knife kind of guy, if you're like a flipper, drop shutty, that kind of thing, and you don't really use your knives, then yeah, this might not be the one for you. But still, if you have any appreciation of build quality, if you've ever been in the machine shop or any kind of build, any kind of building type of job, you are going to appreciate this knife, because the way they build these things is on another level from most production knives. And that even includes like a lot of very expensive production knives that I have. CRK is probably my favorite, and I think it's the best built production knife out there, to be honest. But saying that, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that it brought some value to you. I hope it helped you make a decision or something like that. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great day.